Well, back courtside, UCF wins it by a score of 79-75. Head coach Donnie Jones joins us in an overtime win for the Knights to go to 12-5 and 2-1 in league play. Wow. A lot of stuff to talk about. It was an exciting basketball game before we even get to all that stuff. That was dramatic.
Yeah, it was a huge game for us. It was a great team effort. Mark, I'm really proud of these guys. Coming off a week ago, as I told them, it's all about the steps and getting better as a team. And what a big step we took, having that emotional loss at East Carolina. And here we are again. We talked about it all week, that being on the road, you're going to be in these situations every night in conference play. And, at halftime, I just challenged those guys in there, and those guys stepped up. I couldn't be more proud of how they responded and how they played and how they just continued to compete every possession.
Not one guy. You saw the difference of Isaiah Sykes playing this week than losing him last week. But, Donnie, you and I just briefly commented, your team had fight and some bite. Calvin Newell may have played his best 25 minutes the second half in overtime tonight.
Yeah, he really did. I told him at halftime, set him out a lot in the first half, just told him, I just said, hey, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Stop worrying about making jump shots, play basketball, get to the rim, affect the game in other ways. You're a basketball player, just not a shooter. And I thought he played with great composure in the second half, and obviously Tristan was having a tough night offensively, and we set him down and brought Casey in. I thought Casey gave us huge minutes. That's what we expect from him. He hit some big threes there to really help get us back in the game.
Let's start. It's an awful start. You're down 9-0. You burned a timeout when it was 7-0. You're down 14-3. And then you got back in the game, tied at 25, then a 10-0 run for them, and then you're down 5. What were your thoughts on a crazy first half?
Yeah, well, we had a week off after an emotional loss, and, I'm worried about coming in here and having a good start. And we played flat. And, they're coming off. They've lost 2 in a row. They had a tough loss at East Carolina, too. And I knew they were going to come out with some fight, being back home again. And I worried about, what we were going to do to get ourselves established and get ourselves going. And but we chipped away and got ourselves back in the game and tied it up, Mark. And then, obviously we had a chance there at the end to, cut it to 3. And Keith's got a shot blocked at the end. But those are the things we wasn't doing in the first half. You got to dunk those balls. You got to finish rebounds and do all those toughness plays that we wasn't doing in the first half.
It becomes a possession-type game, and yet, Donnie, they kind of kept it at 3 and 5 and at 7. Every time you had a chance to tie or take the lead, it's as if something didn't go your way. And yet I thought your team still played composure in the second half, and what could have been a frustrating half, you still kind of hung around down the stretch there.
Yeah, absolutely. The timeouts we were talking about, we were being intense. We were trying to make some adjustments, and we'd go zone, we'd go 2, we'd go 3 zone. We would, we'd start switching pick and roll. We were trying to do everything. They were in a pretty good rhythm offensively. They were doing a good job in scoring, but I thought our guys kept good composure. We talked about having poise, and hey, there's still a lot of time. We got to get 2 stops in a row, and we got to get a bucket. And we just kept talking about shortening the game and putting ourselves in a position to win.
What happened in regulation? You got a couple of really good stops. I thought Keith did a great job on the trap that led to the turnover that gave you a chance. And those are the little things defensively, because he kind of gambles, Donnie, and yet it was the right gamble. Take me after that play and then the shot that Tristan hit that was called back.
Well, that play leading there in the timeout, we talked about what to do in pick and rolls. Here we are, East Carolina last week, and we were supposed to switch, and we didn't do a good job switching, and we gave up a 3 on a help. Here we were tonight, same scenario. I asked those guys, what do you want to do? Because I knew they had to buy into it. So they said, let's trap it, coach. Let's trap it. So the plan was to trap it. Keith did exactly what we asked him to do, and we got a turnover. That was a huge play, and he gave us a chance here. We just put everybody on the baseline and let Sykes make a play, hit the open guy, just drive it. If you can get to the rim, get to the rim.
Tristan's shot goes in. We're looking at replays. First angle, I thought it was good. Second one, probably made the right call. Did you ever see a 4 or 5 minute wait like that in the game?
Well, back in the old days, we ran to the locker room.
Yeah, right.
That's what I wanted to
do.
And they couldn't find us, or just we would have ran to the bus in the locker room. But no, I haven't seen one that long. But obviously, I got great respect for Joe, the official who made the call. He's been around for a long time, and obviously, I was telling our guys in the huddle, I don't care if it's good or not. Bottom line is we got to get ready to play these next 5 minutes.
A really interesting start to overtime, because again, the emotion, the way that game ends, and Donnie, your first 2 baskets, 2 tough plays. Calvin makes a nice drive for a basket. Tristan fighting, gets his 9th rebound, an offensive rebound, put it back in. Those are 2 plays that I thought kind of settled your team and said, okay, forget what happened in the regulation. Those are 2 tough plays.
No, they were 2 tough plays, and those are the things that we're talking about in the huddle. It can't be an initial score on this set. We got to win some loose balls. We got to win some 50-50 balls. We got to get putbacks. and Tristan got a big putback. Z tipped his own shot in for a big putback to put us up, and those were the things at the end of the day that won the game, and those are the clips we've been showing. Those are the things we've been talking about, and now it's just a good feeling to see it go our way.
For a guy that hurt his ankle, didn't know if he'd play much, Z gave you 42 minutes tonight, 43 for Keith, and a big win. What do you hope this springboards to now? We go back home for a couple of games, but I know you want to build off of a great game like this.
No, you do, and this was an important one. You got to win on the road, and we got 1 of 2 on the road here right now, and I feel like we improved from the things we didn't do so well last week, Mark, this week that we talked about, and now we're going to get back and get our fans out there and create our great atmosphere with our students and get the nightmare section going again, and now I'm hoping that the momentum. I loved how we were cheering on the bench. I loved the energy in that locker room. I loved how those guys were congratulating each other. So there's a lot of good things happening, and as this team continues to grow.
Great wing. Thanks, Donnie.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Come out on January 23rd and watch us face Rice.